So I guess I want to start off with the thing that I love about this show is it's half-hour drama, it's horror, um, but I feel like it also in season two really amped up the humor. I feel like I saw a lot of
Yeah.
people online talking about like how much funnier season two is. So I was sort of wondering if you could talk to me a little bit about a little bit of the absurdity and a little bit of the humor that you guys wanted to put into season two.
Yeah, no, I agree. I completely agree. I think it's such a dark subject, such a
Yeah.
show that's kind of surrounded by this awful tragedy that you can't
Mhm.
even, especially now I'm a father as well, I can kind of appreciate that more, that it's the worst thing in the world. So I think it's a very human thing, I think, to try and find the light in places, especially when there's only kind of half an hour.
Yeah.
I think it's important to definitely inject that into wherever we can. And yeah, I think definitely season two. I think with the change of dynamic, I think with Sean and Julian kind of losing a bit of power, I think that's kind of opened the doors to a lot more kind of broad comedy, which is always fun to do.
Yeah. I mean, Julian really brings a lot of humor anyway. Like I thought that you added a lot of humor to the first season, but I feel like season two, it's a really good example about how, horror and comedy can sort of live very much side
Mm.
by side, and it really like shatters that tension when you need it to. Like in near the end of the season where where you're yelling at Courtney with K, which I watched that again yesterday. It made me laugh out loud. So
Yeah.
something that I love about your character is you do a very sort of slick job at like playing both sides almost. Like in just a matter
Mm.
of 10 minutes, you can be sort of very conspiratorial with Sean, and
Mm.
like you leave the room and walk over to Lauren's character and you're very sort of comforting to her. And
Sure.
she's like, yeah, you are right. Yeah, we should do this. Like, can you sort of
Mm.
talk to me about bouncing back and forth like that?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. He wears a lot of kind of different hats. I think he has a very different relationship with all the characters.
Mm-hmm.
With Sean, yeah, it's always this kind of he's his only ally really within this kind of lie. So it's always kind of very, as you say, conspiratorial and kind of hushed conversations in the cellar.
Yeah.
Yeah, with Dorothy, it's a very much protective thing because I think out of everything, everything they've done is kind of out of love. And I
Yeah.
think with Julian, he has a very kind of, I think what we kind of learn in season two is his link to the tragedy. He kind of finds them, and also there's a situation where Julian could have done more, and he feels fairly responsible. So there's a real kind of protective younger brother kind of thing. And obviously with Leanne, it's really completely kind of he can't read her. He kind of prides himself on being able to manipulate anyone, but
Yeah.
around her, she kind of has all the power.
Yeah, I do feel like, the way that Julian can sort of like jab at people, like I feel like he's sort of like asserting his power on a lot of people. I noticed when I was rewatching some of the episodes, I was like, you really hate Toby. Like, my God, way to like kick someone
No,
who's not doing anything.
no, it's so
Um,
hard.
yeah, you're kind of a dick, but it's really
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I guess I want to talk about like your sort of admission to Leanne, because when I was watching it, I was like, I never would have thought that Julian would admit that sort of crushing thing to her, especially if we like from season one to season two. Um, I kind of wanted to know, do you think he admits that to a lot of people? Like,
Yeah,
it was a
no, I
really
don't think
vulnerable
so.
moment for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it comes out of the fact that he's broken, and I
Mm,
think she is to an extent too. And I think they have that kind of they share that with each other.
mhm.
And I think yeah, he does open up to her in a way that he hasn't to anyone else. And yeah, I think that's kind of the whole kind of premise of the show is about these characters that are refusing to grieve. And Julian has so many ways of like kind of deflecting everything with his like drink, his kind of cynicism,
Mm,
and yeah, cocaine.
yeah.
So yeah, he has all these kind of different methods of kind of dealing with it, but they should just be grieving and talking about everything and
Yeah.
sitting down and sorting it out, but they can't. So yeah, no, it's always kind of interesting to, because I mean, when I first read Julian, like you say, like he does kind of come out as a bit of a dick. He's this kind of privileged, kind of snarky, brash,
Yeah.
financial guy. But really, I think as everything we're kind of getting undercovering everything, he's a lot more kind of vulnerable, I think, and a bit more complicated than you can really.
Yeah, you go to a very it's really sad. Like the scene that you share with her, it's really kind of hard to watch, because it's sort of like, up until this point we've seen this guy who asserts his power over people. He, like you said, very manipulative, and I was really surprised about where you go in the second season. I was really impressed with your performance. I guess I wanted to, sort of going along with that, when he has that moment with Leanne, do you think he's ever worrying about like what his actions are gonna, how they're gonna play out later? Because you have that moment with her up in the attic, and then like the next day, even just the way she like walks over to you, I was like, oh God, he has no idea what he's in for. Is that something that he's like used to doing, like sort of deflecting his responsibilities later? Like, sort of, what is it, how is it different when it's somebody like so close to his family?
Yeah, I think it's kind of thrilling for him. I think
oh yeah,
kind of playing with fire, and kind of it all kind of feeds into his kind of a hedonistic kind of way. He likes to kind of play with all these things, and I think, yeah, I mean, I think more in this kind of, we're shooting season 3 at the moment. We're kind of coming towards the end, and there's a lot of it feels very kind of weird. It's like quite incestuous. It's a very the whole kind of relationship is something that he does struggle with, and I think we see a lot of that in season 3, and how that kind of has consequences.
Okay. Man, this show, I'm sorry, I just I feel like this show is sort of like a hidden gem on TV, because I like how heightened it is. I like how some of it is really exaggerated. I love the camera work, how the camera just like glides across.
Yeah. It's such a weird set to work on. It's like nothing I've ever experienced, because they've built this house and it's fully operating, like fully functional, like the plumbing works, and you really do feel like you forget you're on a soundstage. So really kind of, and it's such a small, intimate space. I think all the kind of drama is amplified in kind of some really weird ways. So it does, everything kind of feels kind of broad and kind of big strokes, but it's exciting. It's fun to be on set.
Okay. Yeah, I spoke with Lauren a couple months ago, before the season had even concluded, and she was sort of telling me about how you guys, you're one of the only shows that of talent that I've talked to where like you were sort of middle pandemic still like working.
Sure,
yeah, and it was sort of like the pressures of all the new protocols sort of like added another layer of sort of craziness and what's the word, intimacy, I guess, of that. I thought that was very interesting. You sort of touched upon something I wanted to ask about, since you are a new father, and season 2 is done and you're filming season 3. I sort of wanted to ask, like, what's it sort of like with the perspective of the pandemic and all the craziness of that, plus being a new father, and having to film like that with the crazy ass subject matter that you have. Sort of what kind of perspective does that give you now on being a dad?
No, it happened really. It's all been kind of a bit of a ride. I mean, when we came back after the pandemic, I came back with a child. And that was kind of strange, and just being kind of faced with this subject matter with that new perspective has actually been quite helpful. I think it's definitely made me kind of understand Dorothy a lot more, like, and kind of what it means, what's at stake. Like, it's such a like powerful love you have, and it's quite scary. Like, you would do anything to protect your child, and that was something that hit me quite hard. But also now, particularly now in this third season, Jericho is like the same age as my baby.
Oh god!
So they're weirdly hitting the same kind of milestones. And
that's crazy.
I've taken some clothes from the wardrobe. It feels quite almost kind of too close. It's kind of strange, but it's great. But it's it's definitely added a new kind of dimension to everything.
Okay. I feel like I would be really freaked out if I took like a onesie home that maybe baby Jericho would wear and put on my own baby. I might just be like,
I know it's a little bit too much.
Yeah. I guess one last question before I let you go. I sort of want to ask you two different things. Like, I appreciate that you are an actor that does, stage work. I sort of wanted to know, now this is like a realm of television that you're jumping into. Would you ever want to go back to the stage? And if you could, is there like a role that you would really want to play?
I don't know. I've only really done 2 plays, but I did a lot of that before Potter even. It was kind of what kind of brought me into acting, I guess. And I do find it absolutely thrilling, but it's also just exhausting kind of emotionally. And so the thought of going back right now, I don't know. I'm always kind of open to it. And I think definitely now after the pandemic, after everyone's been shut, there's such a thirst. I feel it as well to kind of get back in it and kind of do a play would be fun. I don't know what it would be. I'm not sure, but
that immediacy you get from an audience is like something.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. Yeah. And I think that's why it's one of the elements of the show that I really like, because we film it chronologically, which is also really good.
Oh, that's cool. Okay.
It kind of does feel like you're almost doing like a mini play. And so obviously the shots are so long as well, and some of the takes are like over a minute. So you do really, you still get that kind of that feeling that you're kind of completely in it.
Yeah.
And it's it's a good element.
Okay. I guess I'm a liar. I'm gonna ask you one more question. I was really worried at the end of the season, and this will be the last thing I ask you. Like, do you think Julian has? Well, I guess you're filming season 3. I love Jerrica Hinton. Everything she's in. I loved her in Hunters. Loved her in there, and I was really sort of worried about what Julian is gonna say to her in season 3. Can you sort of tell me if he's gonna deal with those repercussions in the 3rd season?
Yeah, well, I think with this 3rd season, no, I completely. She's great. I've always loved working with her. But yeah, it's an interesting relationship that I don't know. They found each other in a very kind of traumatic time, and I think, and obviously they're so conflicting with their kind of beliefs. Julian is this kind of completely non-spiritual atheist who kind of is rejecting a lot of those kind of. I mean, whenever there's like a supernatural element, I think the show, Julian is completely does not want to hear it, and I think. In the show, there's always kind of there's always a rational explanation for anything that's kind of vaguely supernatural. But Julian, especially, is something that he can't really fathom. But you'll have to see. I can't really say too much. But
yeah. Okay.
There's a lot happening there.
Okay. I just I dig this show so much. Like I was talking with somebody before like an hour ago, and they were like, "Oh, I really want to catch up with the show. Like, what's it like?" And I was like, "The first show is this like nasty, like almost weirdly gothic horror." But I was like, "But then get ready for season 2 is this rompy sort of."
Sure, yeah, it's kind of changing shape all the time, and the fact we don't get the scripts,
that's amazing.
We have no idea kind of what's around the corner.
That's awesome.
So it's kind of quite exciting. And Knight is great. He's was kind of the best at this kind of genre and this kind of dark kind of storytelling, this slow kind of burn, and it's always unexpected.
Yeah, he does a lot, I think, really well. All these like creepy, emotional sort of connections. Like that one movie he did, The Visit, I thought was really creepy.
Yeah.
About like the what's the word? Like domestic horror sort of crazy thing that is really cool. All right. Well, thank you, Rupert, so much.
Great. Thank you so much.
Dorky fan. So thank you so much for your work, and stay safe and have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, and you have a great one. I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah.